Hey guys, this is Ruben Langdon, aka Dante from Devil May Cry, aka Ken Masters from Street Fighter, and also Chris Redfield from the Resident Evil series. And you are listening to the Kasanova podcast, the number one podcast in Hawaii. Jackpot.
All right, and welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's number one podcast and the number one podcast in the Pacific, the Kasanova podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova. I've got the honor and privilege of having the one, the only, the iconic Alex Moukala. Man, Alex, how are you doing,
guys.
man?
Hey, Mekel, I'm doing amazing. How about you?
Doing
Thank
good,
you
man.
for the introduction. That's, I can't blush because I'm black, but if I could, I would be doing it. So, thank you.
We got the same problem here.
Yeah. You know me, understand me. No, it's an honor to be here, really.
It's an honor to have you on the show, man. Like, I love your content. I love your swag. Like, dude, your music, you are a musical genius, dude. We got to dive into it. But before we do, tell people where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on YouTube. I have a channel where I break down video game music. On Twitter, I post these clips of me playing funky bass remixes of video game music. Spotify, there's some orchestral remixes I made of video game music. I also have a YouTube channel where I teach people how to make orchestral music. And what else? I don't even know. There's so many things, but just YouTube, Twitter is where the good stuff is. Spotify, if you like orchestral video game music, remixes. And under Alex Moukala, like Alex Moukala, that's my name everywhere. That's my real name. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And that's the cool thing. I love that you have your branding is the same across the board. And it's one of the things that is so essential if you're a creator, and even as a musician, to have that universal branding, because it makes it so easy for people to find you too.
I agree. Although I have to say, in a way, it makes it easier. In another way, I make so many things of a different variety that sometimes it can be confusing because it's all under my name. So that's why I have Alex Moukala Music and Alex Moukala Tutorials. But on Twitter, it's kind of like I try to do both. And I'm trying to navigate all that stuff. It's the crux of being a highly creative person, I suppose. I don't know.
That's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah, I don't mind, but I'm like, I'm sorry for the people who follow me because many must be confused. Like, hey, I thought you just made video game covers. Now you make tutorials. No, weird to explain, but yeah.
All right, so kicking it off, man. Like, let's talk about it. Like, so you do, video game covers, you do compositions. You're a video gamer. A YouTube star, musical genius. Okay, where is the origin point?
I wouldn't call myself a musical genius. I wouldn't say that, but thank you.
But what was the origin story? Like, what got you? What was that defining moment that got you into music?
Many, but I would say the first one was playing Final Fantasy VII as a kid, and just being blown away by the music and stuff. And growing up by listening, like I used to listen to the MIDI sound font version of the Final Fantasy VII music. And I had banged that stuff. I was like, yeah, this is shit. This is amazing. Even like my friends were listening to, MTV music. I was listening to Final Fantasy music. It was the weird one. I was like that. And it kind of, that game shaped my childhood, my teenage years, who I am. I owe it to Final Fantasy, and the music really carried me through my life. And I was like, hey, when I got in my 20s, I decided what I wanted to do with my life. Because when you're in 20s, that's where you start to shape who you are going to end up becoming when you're an adult. So it was like, I would actually like to make music and make video game music, or rather make music that gives to people what Final Fantasy music gave me. So that was when I was 19 years, which was, almost 9 years ago. And that's where I started out of nowhere. Because when I was 19, I didn't know how to play any single instrument. Didn't know how to compose. Didn't know music theory. Didn't know any of this stuff. All I knew is that I wanted to make music, and I didn't want to wait because the narrative is like, hey, if you want to chase your passions, you better do that when you're 50 and you have your career and now you're safe. I'm like, yeah, at 50, I'm not going to have the energy to do all my dreams. I'm not going to have the energy to explore the world and make music the whole day. So I was like, I should probably do it now and not listen to what people are saying. And I just plunged into it. And I took a sabbatical where I did nothing but write music as a way to learn how to write music. And the goal was for me to say, hey, if in 1 year I can reach the level where I can start from scratch and end up writing music to some professional enough that I can make money out of it, then I should keep on doing it. Like if doing that sabbatical year. So I took that sabbatical and it went well. After that year, crazy stuff happened. And now we're here. It's like the short version, but loads of things happened, man. There was a time in my life where I used to make movie trailer music and I ended up making some music for an Avengers Endgame trailer and stuff. So like stuff happened, but it's been an interesting path.
But we want the details.
I just don't want to bore people for like half an hour about my biography, but
no,
if you really want to know, so after that sabbatical that I took, the sign for me that I had to keep on going was the fact that I found this website where you can sell music. I uploaded this jazz piece that I wrote, and it sold one copy. One copy was enough for me to be like, okay, I reached the level where I'm a professional musician now, so I should keep on going. And I kept on going. And shortly thereafter, I wrote this orchestral track that got the interest of BBC One, who contacted me through the same website where I sold music. It's called Audio Jungle.
Whoa.
And they were like, we want to use this song in television in our BBC One channel, like the UK #1 channel, on this program. And we're going to send you a contract so we can, pay for it. And that was the defining moment. I was like, hey, okay, this thing about music that I've been pursuing for a year with this goal that everyone told me you're never going to make it, blah, blah. Now I really have the proof that I've been doing the right thing, because freaking BBC One contacted me after a year and a half. That's insane, because when I started before that, I knew nothing. So I remember publishing, I remember the euphoric vibe that I felt throughout the whole month. That month, it was like the confirmation that chasing your dreams and stuff is actually a good thing. And from then on, I just went even faster and harder at it. I ended up making music for traders through a friend of mine that I met. And I made a few. We did the John Wick Chapter 2. We did, with a friend of mine, we did Ben-Hur 2016, another short trailer for that movie. And then I made the music for Avengers, like one of the infinite Avengers Endgame trailers, just one of like 80 or something. So it's not a big trailer, it's just a small one, but I made music for that. That was dope. And then I slightly started losing the passion for it, because maybe you can understand how, maybe you had the same thing going on. Have you ever worked at something that you're very passionate about, but ended up maybe losing the passion because you started chasing the wrong goals? Did that happen to you?
Yes.
Okay.
That happened to me when I was in music.
Oh, you were in music as well?
Yeah. I used to sing.
I want to hear the story.
Oh God. I used to sing. I got signed to Virgin Records out here, and
what genre did you sing?
R&B, but
okay.
the thing is, this is because they're like, oh, you have an R&B voice, and I could do R&B, but I was always a metalhead.
The thing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I'm a metalhead. Me and my older brother Nick are really into metal music, because my whole family's musical, and I'm the one person who can't read music. I can't write it, but if I hear it, I can play it.
Same.
Sing it, right?
Yeah. I totally understand you.
So for me, when I got into the industry, I was sold this pipe dream, it's all about the music, it's all about this, it's all about that, and then getting to see it's really not. It's really not, and it killed my passion for music. And it's one of those things where people are like, oh, you should get back into singing, and I'm like,
it's hard. You'll be scarred by the industry. But yeah, that what I find to be true in life is the phrase, or I don't know the exact phrase, but when you are not fighting for, you're working for something, but it's not something that is not your dreams. You're working for someone else's dream.
Yeah.
So that's not always good. Maybe that's not what you want to do. You're working for that other person. And for me, when I made trailer music, it was my way to get closer to the final goal that I have, which is scoring or writing music for a Final Fantasy game. I want to specifically write music for a Final Fantasy game. Because for me, that represents the fact that's where I started. That's where my inspiration started. It's an impossible goal because all the Final Fantasy composers are Japanese. They're all geniuses. They're all insane. And I'm not anywhere close to that. So if I end up realizing that insane dream, no, I thank you, but really, like for me, I'm like, yeah, no, there's no like. Still, I'm far away. But if I manage to get there, that is the demonstration that anyone can embrace whatever dream they have and achieve it at whatever age. Because if I started like age 19 without ever touching an instrument before or whatever, and end up writing music for a Final Fantasy game, first, I've been documenting the whole journey on YouTube and stuff. So people are going to be able to see, because this is something that normally people cannot see. Like, oh, here's this pop star that I love or this composer I love. You just get to know them when they're already famous. There's no like track record because YouTube wasn't a thing in the beginning. So you have this sense that they're different from you. They're like these superior beings and they're different. Like you just cannot reach them. Or with me, what I want to do is to I have this catalog of like when I started and everything on YouTube, blah, blah. You can hear, you can see, you can listen to me, my music when I started out. You can listen to it now. And you can, if you want, trace my whole chronology and see that I'm just a normal person. So my goal is to get there and then through that, inspire the world to embrace their dreams like I did. And if they ask me, yeah, but like for you it's different. I'm like, no, go check out my old YouTube videos, check out, all the stuff that came before and you're going to see. It's not that I was born a genius. So when I was making tutorial music, I was trying to get closer to that. Like I was trying to like get legit. People were like, oh my God, you make music for Hollywood movies. It's amazing. So you get all the validation, you get great money and it's good for you. It was a step forwards. But after a while, it started to like limit me because I wasn't growing in it anymore. And there's like tutorial music is amazing. I met incredible people there. The people working on it are freaking talented and you can definitely push yourself forward a lot. It wasn't that I learned everything I needed to know. It was that I learned everything I wanted to know about that specific type of music. My goal is Final Fantasy. It's not Hollywood right now. So I didn't need to progress forward. It's like I am using a wizard class, but now I want to become paladin sort of thing. You cannot keep on casting spells. You need to learn how to use a sword. So eventually I stopped doing that, took a break from tutorial music, and I started to make tutorials on YouTube because I wanted to learn more about orchestration. I personally learned by, strategy, like by trying things, throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. I'm not someone who studies theory and stuff like that. I just experiment. I go on YouTube and look for tutorials and then I write music based on what I learned. And the idea of making tutorials pushed me to discover more things because then my audience wanted to know more and more and more from me. So that gave me the headspace to learn orchestration a bit more. And eventually that too started to become a bit limiting. And I started this other channel, Alex Moukala Music, which is probably the one where you found me, and the one where loads of people are finding me now. Because I find that throughout all the time before Alex Moukala Music, I have been refining my skills. Now I can write orchestral music that actually sounds legit, that can be used in a movie as I used it, like they got used in an Avengers, blah, blah, blah. Now it was also a question of like getting myself known out there towards the video game music world. So I started making video game music covers. Before FF7 Remake came out. By the way, if I'm boring you, let me know because I can drag on for a long time.
No.
Okay.
You keep doing that.
Okay.
Keep doing your thing.
But did you play FF7 Remake last year? This year, brother?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Were you hyped as me for that game? I couldn't think of anything else.
Dude, I was so hyped for it because it's like I'm so deep in the Final Fantasy 7 lore, the compilation. Like I'm over here like theorizing, like, yo, is this the same Sephiroth from Advent? When he said like I'll never be a memory, did he legit mean it? Like did he?
Yeah.
Because like I can nerd out.
So you love the ending. You like the ending.
Yes.
Okay. Me too. Same. And I do love like the speculation, and I do think that it's the same Sephiroth. But that aside, I was so hyped for that game, man, that before it came out, I believe I'm the only person in the world that there was also another person that did that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
No, well, listen. So I think I'm the only person in the world that before the game, when the E3 presentations of the game were coming out, there was one with Neil Pabon presenting the game, and he was there with Kitase showing the gameplay and commenting on what was going on in the game. This was like Tokyo Game Show or E3, I don't remember. And in that clip, we could hear I think it was the bombing mission theme in FF7 Remake. But it was drawn by all the noises of the fighting, like the game noises, and Neil Pabon talking about the game. So you could barely hear it. I think I'm the only mad person who looked at that clip thousands of times, listening to the music and transcribing it. If you go on my YouTube channel, you can find Bombing Mission FF7 Remake recreated. And if you look at the date, it's like November, but the game came out in March. And it sounds very similar. It's not exactly the same because it was almost impossible to hear exactly the correct notes, but it sounds very similar. So I went through a phase where I started making this recreations of the snippets of FF7 Remake we heard. Some I arranged myself, like I imagined them, like I imagined how Genova would sound like FF7 Remake. I made a cover of that in FF7 Remake style in my own mind. And then freaking FF14 Shadowbringers came out. Oh no, that was prior to that. But I started playing it in that period, and I listened to the main theme. You played that game?
Yes. I'm a full-time Final Fantasy 14 player.
Oh, there you go. Dude.
I love 14. Oh, God.
Yeah, dude. the music in 14 is just absolutely insane.
Woo.
It's absolutely, yeah. Then the main theme, it's great in general, but when I got to Shadowbringers, which was a bit before FF7 Remake for me, the main theme freaking blew me away. And I was like, whoa, I like it. I like the fact that people were appreciating it, but I felt people were not appreciating it enough.
Yeah.
So I made the first ever, I think, music producer reacts video, which is what the internet knows me for right now. I made that music producer reacts to Shadowbringers main theme. People were expecting that I was just a guy, people were expecting, just music producer just making faces and just, reacting. But actually, I called it that way because YouTube SEO, you have to pick titles that are going to entice people to click. Otherwise, your videos aren't going to be shown to anybody. But those titles need to be honest. And it was honest. I'm reacting to the song. But for a big chunk of the video, I also teach people what's going on. So I'm being like, this is fucking amazing because in this passage, there's a modulation, which means the song went from a minor mode, which is dark, to a major mode, which is hopeful. And that happens right at the end of the trailer or the main theme where the Warrior of Light becomes the Warrior of Darkness. And that's where he finds hope to fight against the Sin Eaters. And the music is telling that through, it's telling the story. And I'm like, people need to notice this because it's freaking great. And I find video game composers have all this sort of they put so much love and care into the tracks. And many times it gets the effect of certain techniques gets noticed only subliminally, but people don't really know. And I wish that people knew more because then they would be like, oh my God, this guy is really, really, really good. It's not only hype. This composer is fucking amazing and I should follow him, blah, blah. So I started making those videos to, spread my passion for video game music, but also to give more credit to the amazing work of composers in video game music. Because they don't get enough, in my opinion. A video game composer doesn't have the status symbol of a pop star.
Yeah.
Even though video game composers are usually way more talented than pop stars. A pop star can, the pop stars can definitely, they're great performers. They're great at catching people, understanding people's feelings and writing them in a song, blah, blah. But they usually don't go as far as video game composers in the talent and complexity of what they compose first. And second, video game composers, other than being amazing composers, they're very proficient in instruments. If you take Masayoshi Soken from Final Fantasy 14, that guy, I think he plays piano, he plays guitar, he can sing, he can do whatever he wants. And he can write even electronic music, jazz music, orchestral music, and he should have way more credit because it's 5 different musicians in one. So I see this consistently, especially with Japanese composers, because of the language barrier, they don't really engage that much with fans in the West. And I'm trying to be this link. And sometimes, like, I share, I don't know, the work of, for example, Hellfire from Final Fantasy 15. Did you play that one? Like 15?
Yeah.
Okay, so the track that plays
not my favorite Final Fantasy.
Okay, but did you finish it though?
Yes. You
remember when at the end where there's Ifrit, right? The track that plays there, Hellfire, is one of the most beloved tracks in Final Fantasy 15. Like everyone was like, "Oh my god!" Because it was one of the first times in Final Fantasy where the boss track has different phases to cycle through with the fight. So as you fought Ifrit, the music evolved to match your gameplay and match the intensity and the emotions in the scenes. So that was a very memorable moment, and everyone, also the track is amazing because it has like choir, guitars, lots of interesting instruments like mixed together. The composer is not Yoko Shimomura for that one. She's the leading composer for FF15 as a whole, but Hellfire and Wanderlust, which is our two of the most beloved tracks, are from a guy called Yoshitaka Suzuki, who's actually composed, he composed a couple songs for each of the last Final Fantasies. 13 to Lightning Returns, 14, there's some of his work there. And this guy is making the best Final Fantasy tracks, and if you go on his Twitter, he only has like 1,000 followers or something. Like that was some time ago. And I'm like, how's that possible? So one day he was publishing something. I just posted on my Twitter like, hey guys, you should check this guy out. He's the composer for Hellfire. I don't know if you knew that. And everyone were like, wow, he composed Hellfire. Oh my God, I didn't know. And they followed him. And he's like, wow, he got in touch with me saying thank you, because after I shared like the fact that he composed Hellfire, loads of people followed him. So I'm feeling like this sense of responsibility to be sort of like the bridge between composers and fans, both in terms of how they understand the music of the composers, but also in terms of like just appreciating the composers a bit more and telling them, follow them on Twitter and stuff. So yeah, that's why I started doing these reactions. Then the Shadowbringers one just exploded out of nowhere. Like it got like, I think, 1,000 views in the first week because I had 2,000 followers at the time there. But then out of nowhere, everyone started to find it. And then it reached like 150,000 views. Like there was a week where it just went up like crazy. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And everyone was like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting this video to be so good. I'm like, okay, suppose I'm going to have to make more. You know, I enjoyed it. I do love teaching because that's what I've been doing for years on my Twitter channel. And I like to reverse engineering things because that's how I learn music. I really don't study theory. I don't know shit. Like I know the basics. That's all. But I'm very curious about reverse engineering stuff by ear so that I can learn and improve as a composer. And I do that naturally when I listen to music. So now that I saw there's this positive effect on everyone, the composers, the listeners, and also me, because like it boosts my brand and it makes people discover me as well. I was like, okay, I'm going to keep on doing it. And so that's what I started doing, reactions. And yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing now. And in my reaction videos, I always like to like put a bit of my talent in there too. So if I may listen, like the last one I made was for Devil May Cry 5. Did you play? Okay, you like the game. You had the freaking introduction with Dante's voice actor. So
he's my best friend. Like no lie, dude has the keys to my house every summer. Yeah, he comes out here and kicks it with us. So Ruben, love you, Ruben. Yeah,
yes, that's great. He's amazing. No, but the whole like the people who work in the game are so amazing. Like such creativity without limits. Like Devil May Cry is a game that it's fucking bombastic, and in a way it doesn't take itself too seriously because sometimes it's silly, but also it's so intense all the time. Like it sounds like the voice actors as well as the composers and the game designers and everyone working on that game was so freaking committed, and you can hear that in the music especially. And last like 2 weeks ago, I think, 3 weeks ago, Casey Edwards released the new song. Yeah, and I made an analysis of it, and I was like, whoa, for me, that's one of the best video game songs ever made. And in this analysis, I pinpointed the fact that there was a part with the melody that sounded very spectral, like Castlevania. And then what I do when I do this reaction, I actually record myself while I listen to the song. And then when I notice stuff like, hey, this sounds like Castlevania, I pause the song, I pause the recording, and I write a Castlevania arrangement on the fly. That's what I did. Just, 10 minutes, wrote that Castlevania arrangement of that melody from Devil May Cry, And then I recorded. I'm like, okay, check it out. This is Castlevania, and I played the arrangement. So the reason why I do those short remixes in my reactions is first I want people to understand what I say, because like sometimes I have the understanding as a composer to say, hey, this sounds like Castlevania, because I know. But someone who is not so well versed in music might be like, no, I don't hear it. But then when I show them with an example, they're like, oh my God, how can I not hear it? How could I not hear it before? So that's why I do it. And the second, I also like to do that to like tell to people, hey, like I can make music too, because I don't just want to be this like, reaction guy that then doesn't do stuff. I'm a music producer, and my career is making music. It's not like making reactions, even though it's really great. But my ultimate goal is still making music for Final Fantasy. So in these videos, I try to also add in my talents, by doing short remixes here and there, showcasing ideas. And that also gives me an idea for what people want to see. Because if I do the Castlevania remix and then everyone in the comments will not shut up about Castlevania remix of Devil May Cry, that tells me that it's a good idea to make the full version. Because when you make stuff on the internet, YouTube, whatever, content creation, sometimes you might do something that you think is amazing and you spend so many hours on that.
Yes.
And then no one fucking cares.
Yeah.
So the thing, the ideal thing to do is to like put your feet in the water, like your toes, and then if it's nice and warm, you put yourself. But if it's not, do another thing. So that's kind of why I'm doing those. And that's essentially the story of where I started, where I am now. And the goal is still making music for a Final Fantasy game. And I don't know how long. It might take a long freaking time to get there.
Dude, I think but regardless, it's the fact that you're willing to embrace your dreams and go for it. And I love that you said embrace your dreams. So I'm assuming
that's
you're
my
also
favorite.
Zach Fair.
Yeah, my favorite character in Final Fantasy.
Yes,
hands down. And that one back there too, Vivi, another favorite character of mine.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, it's the fact that you're willing to, just go for it. We're in a day and age now where people they're so afraid. Prior to, I guess, during the pandemic and prior to pandemic, a lot of people like to play it safe, and I was told a lot of that myself too. Like, told you're never gonna do this, you're gonna fail, you're never gonna be able to do this, you're gonna fail at music, you're gonna fail at podcasting, this and this. Get a job, work it till you're 50 or 60, and then pursue it. And like you, I had the same mentality. How the hell am I gonna do anything when I'm old?
Yeah, people don't think about that. It's like, how can they not think about that?
Yeah,
it's insane.
So
that was the thought for you that like snapped you out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It really hit me hard when I went to. So my wife and I we got sent out to E3 last year by PDP, and when we got there, like so many people we got to hang out with. Like, a lot of our friends are voice actors. So Ruben Langdon, Nika Pasalides, so many people in the industry, and just being surrounded in the world. And I'm like, dude, I'm a guy from Hawaii that literally started from nothing to nobody knew who I was to I'm here at E3. I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm looking at my wife and I'm like, if I did this, I got to this point by working, 15, 16, 17 hours a day, 6 days a week, and 8 hours on the 7th day. And I did that work, and I still did this full time. I still streamed. I still made content. I still podcast. If I did that, what can I do if I put everything into it? And she's like, go for it. I'm like, I love you. If I fail, you can kill me.
Nice. No, dude, that's true though. Like, people underestimate themselves, and they underestimate also like how much time we have. Yes. It's not like that you have to figure it out in like 1 month or a year even. Like, it took me I started it was almost 9 years ago now. That's 8 years actually. But that's a long time. There's a lot of stuff you can do in 8 years,
Yeah.
I have friends who are trying to people get in touch with me like, oh my God, I would love to do what you do. Okay, do it.
Do it.
Yeah, but yeah, but this, but that, but I don't know, but blah blah blah, and all the time they spend asking me questions like these are months they could use to actually do stuff, and they were gonna be much better off if they started and even did mistakes. Like the other thing that people hate is like the idea of starting and then making mistakes.
Yeah.
Dude, I cannot even count all the freaking mistakes I made, and all of them taught me something. If anything, they taught me to have the character to keep on going. You know, you do mistakes and then you keep on going. You're like, oh, that didn't kill me, so I can do more and maybe get better. But if you're fretting like, oh, I don't want to do mistakes ever, that's what keeps you from achieving anything. So it's very hard. Like, I think like you and I probably were lucky in having the right mentality and just figuring out that, hey, this thing of like doing it when it's safe is a lie, because you know, if you just wait when you're 50, you're too old. But many people are just illusioned and they are never probably gonna snap out of it. And that's kind of sad. But you know, I learned that there's nothing I could do. I can give all the advice I want, but people need to figure this out on their own, I think.
No, it's true. And you know, on top of that, for me, I'm 4 years in remission from cancer. So I got a couple more months. I'm going to hit 5 years. I'm fully cancer free. But you know,
Congrats.
Going through cancer and just experiencing that, and experiencing how like that, your life can change. Your life can be over. You know, that really put its foot up my ass. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I need to, whatever it is I want to do, let me build up my equity, but also let me start building towards my dreams. Let me just go ahead and do it, because there is a point, dude. The same, you know, cancer that the actor for Black Panther died from I had the same one. So I had colorectal cancer. So I was stage 3. So my prognosis is I wasn't gonna live, and I did live. I lost a lot of hair. So I'll say that.
Well, did you like? I'm curious. Like, did you find there was something that pushed you to like fight harder and survive? Like, okay.
It was me wanting to not, like, I was so desperate to make my life have meaning. I did not want to be forgotten by history, because you think about it, so many people die every day. And this is not to be insensitive, but like so many people die every day and are forgotten. And, you know, with me and working, and this crazy part is, and having cancer, I was also working for a hospital. So I would see people dying all the time, and they would always have these like, I wish I did this. I wish I did this. I wish I did that. God. And I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to do it. I don't care. I'm going to fight. I need to be here for her. I need to be here for myself. I need to be here for my friends, my family, and I need to just do it. Like, there's no time like the present. I can't keep, you know, pussyfooting around, because yes, like, go, you know, you get your career and people tell you, go to school, get a good education, get a job, and do that. And I had a high paying career and I was unhappy because I was creatively stifled and unfulfilled. And it's like,
people don't warn you against unhappiness.
No,
they don't. They never say, be careful to not make the wrong choices because you might end up unhappy. They don't think of that. It's like I think it's a given in our society that you are going to be unhappy about your job.
Yeah.
And I understand where that's coming from. Like, if I think about my parents, like in freaking Congo, when they were younger and stuff in Africa, you could not freaking afford to even think, I'm going to do what I love and going to find. No, like, hey, like you come from poverty. You have to excel at the corporate ladder so that you can be free of the pain of poverty. Yeah. In that case, professional success is completely linked with happiness.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up in a different scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And so did you. Like, we were essentially the same age. So that doesn't apply anymore. Now, now we have the luxury to say, we can actually pick up any career and do whatever we want and do something that feels meaningful. And look at that. That saved you from cancer. So that is the proof right there that you did the right thing. But man, congratulations first for, you know, how you're winning this fight. And second, for having that self-awareness, because lots of people just could have seen the things you've seen and chose not to understand what you understood, you know?
Yeah.
So that's, I totally feel that. Like, I'm the same. Like I think very deeply about this stuff all the time. Have you ever done have you heard about the personality test, like the Myers-Briggs or something?
Yeah.
Like ENTP.
Yeah.
Which one are you?
Shit.
Do you remember? You're surely extroverted.
But
Okay,
I
wait.
think I'm an introvert, but I'm very extroverted.
So maybe okay. There you go. Same here. There's a name for that. It's called ambivert. It's when
Is
you're
it?
like, yeah. So do you? Okay, we're gonna be a bit nerd on this. Do you find that you recharge your batteries when you're by yourself or when you're with people?
By myself.
By yourself. So okay, but you do enjoy being around people and you're very sociable.
Yes.
So you're an ambivert. I'm the same. My girlfriend does not understand this because some days I'm with her and it's amazing, and then one day I go, hey, I actually need a bit space. Like I would like to be by myself. She goes, what? So you didn't enjoy the time together with me this whole time? Like, no, actually, no, I did, but I need space. Like I want to be by myself. And it's the ambivert. It's when I think you're more of an introvert than an extrovert maybe, because you need to recharge your battery. Same for me probably. But on the test, I result like extrovert. Maybe you are gonna be the same. But the second thing is like, oh my god, there are like 4 indicators. I'm gonna ask you to do it later and then tell me the result because I'm curious. Maybe we're the same. I am ENTP, which is means that I'm extroverted. I'm intuitive, so I think like from myself and not from the outside world. I am rational rather than emotional. Not that emotional people are not rational, but I think with my brain rather than my heart, which means I have the empathy of a banana. And then I'm it's easier for me to like imagine what could be rather than consider what is. So that combination makes up a personality of someone that, generally speaking, this is not 100% accurate, but generally speaking, I'm someone who likes to entertain ideas which are different from what people normally think. Simply because I'm curious about the things that we don't see. So from this type of personality, it was very natural for me to go like, hey, maybe I shouldn't do like everyone says, and I should go for something different and see what it is. Because like, this is not me being like, I know for sure that following my dreams is the best answer. My attempt here is just trying to find a different way to live and see if that works. And if it does, I'm going to tell people about it. And if it doesn't, I have lived a life doing something interesting, which is a life lived trying to find something new. Like a freaking, I don't know, sailor in the Middle Ages would like sail to uncharted waters. That's kind of like I like to live. And sometimes you go and you find glory. Other times you come back home in a shipwreck. But hey, you have adventures. You did. so maybe you're the same, or maybe you're very similar. I don't know. But yeah, I was curious about that. But dude, again, congratulations. Didn't know about the thing about cancer. That's amazing. Thank you. You're going through that very well.
And it's just, dude, like, life is just, I feel like, it maybe you feel the same. Because I feel like we're on the same wavelength. But I feel like so many people are just existing. They're not living life.
Yeah.
And it's like, it passes them by. And I can't be that person. Like, I think about it. Like, I think about, my parents, and, my mom and, from coming from Samoa to here to US and just living her life effectively through her kids because, that's all she had.
But the thing I think about though, like I'm gonna interrupt you like for a second.
Go for it.
Is the fact that for other people, like when I think about the same, but for other people sometimes maybe that's all they need. For them, maybe they don't need to like, I don't know, embrace this crazy dream. This simple fact that, hey, I have a family, I have some friends that care about me. That makes me the happiest. And sometimes I see that I'm like, I'm kind of jealous of that, to be honest. Because if you are
too.
if you're that ambitious, like you will not have peace until you achieve these massive goals. But there's people out there who just like to chill, hang out, and just, I don't know, play video games all day, or I don't know, like do normal stuff and stuff that I love to do as well. But I also need to have that edge, that's something else. But there's people who don't need that, and they are content with who they are. And those people I say like, keep on doing you because you're doing amazing. My message of like embrace your dreams and stuff goes mostly only to the people who are unsatisfied and they want it. You know, people who contact me like, hey, I want to be like you. How can I make it? And I tell them, and then they don't operate. That's where I go, what the fuck are you doing? But for people who just are chill, they don't do anything like insane, but they're having a happy life. That is insane already. Like that is great. Just the act of being happy and being a good person that grows a nice family, nice kids, blah blah. That's great. So I have insane respect for that too.
Yeah, I wish I have a lot of friends like that, that have that capability of just being content. And
same.
I'm not gonna lie, man, I envy that. I envy it because it's like even with like my wife is able to be content. She's also ambitious. She's very ambitious. Yeah. Hi, I love you, honey. but she's able to just be content, and I'm over here like, God, I wish I could do that. I wish I could. And I've tried, dude. Like my 20s was me trying to find that, not only exploring, I'm gonna do this, and then I settled down to the, okay, I'm just going to do this career, get a job, do this. I did IT, some of the most mind-numbing work.
Oh no, you too? Holy shit, I did IT as well. Wait, were you a developer?
Developer, architect, as well as systems analyst.
Okay, I just did junior developer in Java for like a few months. I studied IT in high school, and then that was it. After a few months, I was like, okay, bye. But
dude,
but
7 years of Java.
Oh my God. No. No. Okay, I get it. I understand. I understand completely why you escaped. When I arrived in the office, Java was the language I studied in high school. So when I arrived in the office, they asked me, what language do you prefer? I'm like, hey, I kind of like Java. Everyone was like, yes, please be my assistant. I'm going to leave you all the Java work. I was like, okay, Java is awesome. I don't mind. Dude, after a few months, I was like, you fuckers. You gave me, you knew exactly what you were doing. So yeah, man, holy shit, 7 years.
Yeah, like so I was the primary backup and the on call.
Okay,
literally,
that's
intense.
That's intense. That's crazy,
dude. 12 to 15, sometimes 17-hour days, 6 days a week, and an 8-hour day was a good day on the 7th day. I literally worked every day.
Maybe that's what prepared you though for podcasting 6 times per week.
I think so.
I
think so.
Like also maybe that's where do you know Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yes.
Okay, so that guy, he's great. That guy, his work ethic is determined by the fact that he spent his whole teenage years and stuff, all his time working. So he's being configured to work all the time, and he likes it, because that's what he knows. So maybe the work at Java office for so long configured you to be super productive at podcasting, probably in a way. So that's like life has so many blessings.
Thinking of that.
Yeah, I can. Well, that also gives you the charge to be like, I don't want to work for someone else. Like yes. I find that my best friend right now is going through this phase. Like he works in restoration and he's been working there for years. He was chef in a pretty classy restaurant in the center of Milan, which is where I'm from in Italy. And Milan is a very classy city, so it's good for him. But he didn't like the way they he was a slave there, even though he was a chef. He was a slave. So now he's working in a much less ambitious chain of restaurants because he's like, I'm going to work there so I can work a bit less. And there is letting him anyhow the same. So it's like restoration, restaurants and stuff. It's kind of like that. Now he's really realizing he hates that. So he has way more motivation to become a Twitch streamer and make that work. Because before you actually go through trauma in the working world, you don't think about the importance of being self-employed. You're like, I can just keep on working as an employee. That's fine for many people. But if you're someone who hates it and you bang your head against that by going through some trauma, then you're going to be way more motivated to become successful at being self-employed. So maybe that cursed period as an IT developer really gave you a boost that you needed to your motivation and stuff. So I find life has lots of hidden blessings in its curses. So
I still wake up sometimes from nightmares where I'm like, oh God, I gotta do this code. Oh. It's for those who don't know, Java is so mind-numbing.
Yeah, it's the worst. I don't even remember why, because it's been a long time ever since I coded in Java, but I remember the way I felt when I was coding in it. It's like, who invented this and why are we still using it now? It doesn't make sense. Yeah. It does not make sense at all. Like the pretense of Java, I liked it, like the idea of like using classes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the more I dived into it, the less it made sense. I wish I could compare it to a video game, but I can't. Like, is there a video game that is as bad as Java? What is your worst favorite video game of all time for you?
Worst favorite
like
video game.
The one you hate. You're like, ah.
Okay.
For me,
objectively bad or just...
No, for you personally.
Okay.
Subjectively. There's no. It's hard to judge stuff objectively, dude. Like, who can judge stuff objectively, especially video games? I don't think you can. People try with Final Fantasy 13. You cannot objectively say it's bad. You can say objectively it was different, but then if it was good or bad, it depends on you.
So okay,
but you can say 13 if that's the game you're thinking about. Don't worry.
No, I was actually thinking Xenosaga Saga 2.
Okay, I never played that one.
That one,
I heard the hate for it though. Like, it's not the first time I hear that.
I don't hate.
Yeah,
strongly. Like, I dislike the direction they went with it, because it's like it went with such a great build up in the first game, amazing music, to what the fuck when you can just die from every common enemy in Xenosaga Saga 2 is like a boss fight. It's like fighting.
Really?
It's almost like fighting Ruby Weapon in 7.
What?
It's stupidly hard.
Have you ever played Dark Souls?
Yes.
Is it tougher than Dark Souls?
I love Dark Souls, but I hate it. Yeah. You probably need a guide every time you go through and fight any enemy in the game.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Okay.
I literally broke. Okay, so when I played, I think I was like a teenager when 2 came out, and I broke so many discs back then. I would break it and then go back to the store. Okay, I need to buy this, because that's just how bad it was. But then, like, it was so bad, it soured so many people. Like, for myself and other gamers, it soured so many people's desire to want to play 3. And 3 came out, and we're like, what the fuck? This is one on crack. It's so good. What were they doing with 2? And then now,
That kind of reminds me of Devil May Cry. Actually, I played Devil May Cry 1, and then I played 2. Did you play 2?
Yes.
That one was weird, right?
Yes.
That one was very weird. That's where I love 1, and then I played 2. I'm like, yeah, Devil May Cry is trash, and I just never. I skipped 2. I didn't play 3 because 2 just made me lose any. 4 didn't play it. Then DMC, the reboot, came out. I'm like, okay, this is a reboot. Maybe it's gonna be better than 2, and it was, but it wasn't as good as 1. And then 5 came out. I was mostly hyped about the music in this one, and I picked it up. It was fun as heck for the first few hours, especially.
Dude,
and
they went balls to the wall with 5 with the music.
Yeah,
that was the first thing that just hit me, was the music. It was such.
I think they did so with everything mostly, but I have to say personally, like, I loved it, but I find that when I play it, it's boring because I'm not so good. I haven't played Devil May Cry. Like, I only played 1 and DMC, so I'm not so good at like making it stylish. But when I watch streamers play it, it's so fucking fun.
Yeah.
So it's a cool game, but I expect for someone who played them all, when you play 5 and you see the story and the characters, you're like, oh my god, it's so many beautiful things happening. I felt sad for not being like a diehard fan of like 3, 4, etc. when I played 5, because I was like, I saw certain things happen. I'm like, okay, I know if I played the original ones, I definitely would have cried. But yeah, for me, a game that I hate, probably, I'm someone who doesn't, I'm not able to hate things.
Yeah.
This is a problem of mine. It's hard for me to like not enjoy something. But Final Fantasy, All the Bravest, I don't know if you ever tried that one. It was on the phone.
We don't talk about that one.
Okay. Right. So that's I think they deprecate it, like they took it down from the store or something. Like they realized it was a mistake, I think. And they just removed it. That was I mean it was like, what the fuck and why? That's probably the game that I'm like,
Power Level Amy in the chat said, she said, oof, I played it.
Yeah.
She's a big fan of yours too.
Oh well, thank you very much, Power Level. But yeah, that's we don't talk about that here.
Dude, the fact that Katy Perry is a Final Fantasy character.
Yeah. I mean, it's I'm not gonna I'm like, I see this shit, I'm like, I hope that doesn't happen in the Final Fantasy games that I do play. That's not All the Bravest. That's another one. It's not Record Keeper. Brave Exvius.
Exvius. Yeah.
Brave Exvius. Okay, the thing about Brave Exvius, I've never played it, but the music, man, I don't know if you heard it. The music, oh my god, so good. Some tracks are even better than some tracks in the numbered Final Fantasies. But yeah, I do hope they do not include Katy Perry in Final Fantasy 16. Like,
she's gonna be DLC.
No, my God. If you have, which celebrity would you like? Because now this is becoming a thing. Keanu Reeves is in Cyberpunk, and I'm like, yes, I would love that. Which celebrity do you think would fit amazingly in Final Fantasy? Like that wouldn't feel like what, but rather would feel like, how could they never have thought before about this? If you were like someone working at Square Enix, like yeah, this celebrity is definitely gonna make people go boom.
I would probably, if I had to get a celebrity, I would probably, I think I would go with the guy who does Luther, the Luther series.
The black guy.
Yeah. Idris Elba. I would go with him. I think he would fit, especially in 16. If they went and brought him in as a certain character, I think he would fit right in. He's mainstream, but not mainstream enough to be like overpowering. Like his name would overpower the game. So
Interesting. I haven't seen Luther, but I mean I saw like one episode or something. But it seems like a very 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 strong guy. So maybe that would be a very good character actually.
Yeah,
but yeah, that'd be hard.
I wouldn't put The Rock in it.
No, my God, Kevin Hart. I mean, I would love Kevin Hart, but if Final Fantasy maybe it would be like, no, dude. But yeah, let's just hope that they don't take this approach necessarily. They did that with Gakt Kamui in Final Fantasy Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus. He was Genesis. The Gakt is a Japanese, one of the famous J-rock singers. He fits very well. Because in Japan, there's this style of music, which is also a style of like clothing called visual kei, where you have like guys dressing like Final Fantasy, like not exactly, but in the way they dress and stuff, they look like they came out of a JRPG. You know, wearing makeup, long hair, like very stylish jackets and stuff, and they slay guitars in the meantime, and they have the incredible style. Like you have music videos with dragons flying and stuff. It's so fantasy and it's super cool music actually. And Gakt is one of those, and it was used in Crisis Core, which is the reason why they're not making a Crisis Core remaster. Because
of Gakt.
Yeah, so I'm like kind of happy that when I saw Genesis, I'm like, wow, that fits very well. But now I'm like, dude, that was a mistake. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when Square, they tweeted like, oh, it's been X amount of years, was it like 14 years since Crisis Core came out, and I'm like, that's nice.
Yeah,
That's nice. How about that remaster?
Would you like to see it? Would you like to see it in FF7 Remake?
I think we're going to. I think we're going to get that happen. But I think the only thing is, if they're gonna do something differently with Genesis, I think they're just gonna have to redesign them. I think part 2 is going to be
Like, you think they're gonna add Genesis Part 2? Like, they mentioned him. They did mention him.
Yeah.
But do you think? Yeah.
I think I think part 2 is going to slightly recap Crisis Core and lead into something else because my theory, I know Power Love Amy is in the chat and a lot of other people, we were theorizing this for weeks. My theory is if you played Dirge of Cerberus at the end,
I love it.
Right? Like at the end, Genesis said, he came back. It's not yet time for
he wakes
slumber.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you read like further in Ultimania, the only reason he would wake up would be some new threat would have to wake him up. The only thing I can think of is what is going on in Remake. Because if you think about it, they were going to remake 7 anyway. But, Tetsuya Nomura.
So you think that is like connected?
I do. I don't think Sephiroth is the big bad anymore. I think it's something else. I just don't know what it is.
Damn. I don't think they can make some, like, it's hard. Like, that's what I was wondering about when are we able to talk about the game, spoilers and stuff?
Yes.
Because
talk about anything.
Okay.
If they don't like it, they can kiss my ass.
No, but like, I don't know. Like, it's been out for a long time, but I don't know if people. But yeah, at the end, when there's the final face off, I'm like, this is as epic as the final battle in Advent Children.
Yeah.
It's not even like as epic as the final battle in the original 7. It's like as epic as Advent Children. How are you gonna top this? Like, how can you top this fight right here in terms of like power level, but also in terms of epicness? Now, if Sephiroth is not the big bad and it's another one, it's gonna be so hard to like create a villain in the 7 universe that feels more threatening and more iconic than Sephiroth, in my opinion. Like, how do you like, because Sephiroth is one of the most beloved villains in the history of video games. Not only in Final Fantasy, in the history of video games. Even though Final Fantasy has villains that are much better than Sephiroth, in my opinion, still you cannot remove the fact that it's like the most beloved. So if Genesis is the big bad, loads of people who haven't played Digital Cerberus and haven't played Crisis Core are gonna be like, who is this guy? And he actually doesn't feel like such an interesting villain compared to Sephiroth, personally.
Yeah, he's got his inferiority complex to Sephiroth is pretty bad.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
Yeah, and Genesis is an interesting character, but it's clearly meant to not exceed Sephiroth. So I don't know. When he woke up in the Cerberus, to me it felt like they just wanted to have something in case they want to continue the saga. But it felt so random to me. I was like, why now? Like, what? There's no meaning. I did like the Ojo and Omega and Vice and Deep Brown story. That was amazing. Yeah.
No. Go ahead.
In my opinion, the big bad is probably going to be like 3 Sephiroths or whatever. The Sephiroth we have now, one from the past, one from, stuff like that. I don't know.
You think he's going to pull like a Xehanort?
Oh, shit.
Like, he could. I mean,
I hope he doesn't, because I actually did not. That was something I did not necessarily. I mean, I liked Kingdom Hearts doesn't make sense. So here's Kingdom Hearts does not make sense, but it doesn't have to, because it's Kingdom Hearts. Like, they have been building it in a way where it's clear that we shouldn't expect too much logic in it. We should expect that we're instructed a new type of logic from Nomura, and through his own rules, he's gonna tell us a story. So when I play Kingdom Hearts, I'm like, whatever, fine. And I don't care, fine. Just give me feels and just give me epic battles and amazing music. And there, I'm like, fine, but Xehanorts doesn't make sense. But if they did that in Final Fantasy VII, I'll probably be like, no, why are you doing this now? There, it doesn't.
You think they're gonna give Sephiroth a redemption arc?
Man, I don't think he's gonna get the redemption arc. What I hope he's gonna get is a prequel or something. Like, give us a portion of the game where we play as Sephiroth in the moments slightly before. Like, we play him when he was a young, soldier, whatever, short-haired Sephiroth. Then fast forward when he was like older, when he becomes like a soldier, first class, whatever. And then show us when he discovers that he is what he is. Like, I want to see the humanity in Sephiroth being portrayed, leading up to the moment where he goes crazy, which is actually not the moment where he goes crazy. It's just the moment where he wakes up and he figures out what the fuck is going on in his life. And then he chooses to act the way he acts. That's the only lack of Sephiroth for me. Like, it's that it's not humanly relatable.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense because he's not completely human, right? But there was a big part of his life where he thought he was.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if he's not completely human. He still has like feelings.
Yeah.
So I want to see those. So that's what I would like to see. Redemption arc, not so much. What about you? Like, what would you like to see in the next part?
I'm with Amy. Like, Power Level Amy says, let's play as Sephiroth when he came to the revelation of his fate and his attempt to devour it. So I can show it for you guys. This is what she said. So in that sense, because her and I keep theorizing it.
Wait, his attempt to detour it? The detour of fate? Of what fate is it?
Like, when he went... Because I feel like when he was in the live stream, he knew he was going to lose.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. You mean the new Sephiroth?
Yeah.
Like yeah.
So I think... I do think we need to play as him younger, to leading up, because the best part of Crisis Core was humanizing Sephiroth.
Yes,
that was the best part of it. The dude joked. I was like,
yeah,
you laughed.
Yeah, and man, I still feel the part where he injures Angel and stuff, and or Genesis rather.
Yeah,
and he just starts to like question himself, like, hey, like, why are you guys, because everyone's like keeping like, oh, don't be close to us, whatever. Like, he starts to be shut down from other people, and he starts to like question, like, why, like, am I different? Is there something wrong with me? That was very nice to see, actually. And now it's not canon anymore, so because like the compilation is not canonical anymore. So
is
I hope that no, it's not canonical anymore.
Oh, I thought it's still part of it.
It's still part of it because they mention stuff from the compilation, but it's all the things we saw before are not canonical. They can change them at any time.
Yeah.
So they mentioned Deep Ground exists. They mentioned Genesis and Angel. They mentioned Zack. Like, lots of things are being mentioned or showed, but they might change a little bit because it's not canonical anymore. I think they just want to have the freedom to do whatever they want.
So I'm assuming if we're gonna so another theory, since we're down the rabbit hole, another theory I have is what they're doing with 7 Remake is essentially kind of like what's going on with 14 with the echoes.
What do you mean?
In a sense of like, how we got the Warriors of Darkness, Warriors of Light.
Oh, like the different shards and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So I mean...
alternate dimensions. Alternate timelines.
But then I don't trust Nomura to tell that kind of a story. I don't.
I mean, but wait, like, the thing about Nomura is that, interestingly, he is the reason why Final Fantasy VII was not, the original FF7 was not a shit show.
Yeah.
Because they wanted, like, I don't remember, Kitase, and who's the second writer? Hashimoto? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. They wanted to kill all the party except for 3 members at the end of the game. You had to pick 3 members, everyone else died. Nomura was the one to tell, hey, if you do this, it's going to be like a shit show. Don't do that. Like, that's a bad idea. And because Nomura decided not to do it, then we had what we had. Like FF7, the ending, and all the other games. Imagine if it killed everybody and only 3 people remained. Like, it would have been probably a ballsy thing, but FF7 would not have been what we know. So it's not like Nomura is like, I don't know if he deserves the bad reputation that Kingdom Hearts gave him. Like, I think he's gonna treat Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy as 2 completely different things, even though it's the same. Like, it's still Nomura, but he understands maybe that the audiences are quite different for both games, even though it's still Square Enix.
I mean, and if you think about it, like, you remember when Kingdom Hearts first came out and then you beat it, like, it felt very self-contained in a way.
Oh yeah. But actually, did you like the direction they went to after?
I didn't mind 2. But the problem with 2, and I think a lot of us back then, is if you didn't play the Game Boy Advance, what was it, Chain of Memories, you had no idea what the hell was going on.
Yeah. I did play that one. Actually, my Kingdom Hearts timeline is weird. The first Kingdom Hearts game I played was Chain of Memories, actually. Then I played 1. Then I played 2. And I was like, still confused. But honestly, yeah, it's I don't know. I think that's where Nomura has, like, Kingdom Hearts is the one IP where Nomura is allowed to do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
But Final Fantasy, maybe it's not the same. Like, maybe there he has to kind of, like,
reining in,
keep his madness in check. Yeah.
Dude, have you seen the amount of people that have been saying that 16 looks generic or looks boring? Or is
I made a post about that on Twitter.
They're like, it's not Final Fantasy. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. The problem with Final Fantasy is that the audience of this game is very interesting.
Yeah.
It's people join the brand and the IP at different stages. And for most of us, the first Final Fantasy we play tends to be our favorite, the one that we're going to compare all the other games with and stuff. Now, Final Fantasy has the blessing, in my opinion, which is also the curse, of trying to innovate all the fucking time. If you compare the different Final Fantasies, they're quite different. 9 is completely different from 7, which is completely different from 8 and 13 and 14. So the situation is that lots of people just jump on, I don't know, 8 was my first, and now I don't see Gunblades anymore. It's not Final Fantasy anymore. No, you just jumped on the weird one, and now you expect the weird one is going to be... But actually, if we take Final Fantasies and we compare them, we're going to find that the type of Final Fantasy that overlaps the most in the saga is the medieval high fantasy one, which is exactly 16.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, in the trailer, there's a freaking tavern. Like, in the first 6 Final Fantasies was always like that. Then there's 9, which is like that. 14 is like that. 11 is like that. So there's a lot of Final Fantasies like that. And 14 as well. And I think people who say that just haven't been around. They don't know what Final Fantasy is at its core, how it started and stuff like that. They expect to just get another Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah.
And they tried that with Final Fantasy 15 and 13. And no, I think people should accept that every Final Fantasy is just going to be different. Everyone was his own thing. I personally enjoyed them all.
Yeah, even with the strange direction that 13 went, I'm still kind of confused with the plot. I know it's.
Did you play all 3?
I've played all 3. I'm still confused because I understand that. You've got the god the god that you're ultimately going to kill in Lightning Returns.
Yeah.
But going back and replaying 13, I'm like, 13-1 was self-contained. It felt self-contained.
No, it was. That's how they do sequels at freaking Square Enix. Like, okay, no, 13-2 was not self-contained.
No.
That was the Final Fantasy that is not self-contained. Maybe the only one who's not self-contained. 13 was self-contained. 10 was self-contained. You can argue that Okay, no, 14 is not actually. But no, 14 is not at all. But many times they just do sequels where you don't expect them. And honestly, I think the sequel of 13 can improve the trilogy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Caius Ballet. Yeah. And yeah. But yeah, dude, it's an interesting one. I don't know why they did the trilogy there. I'm very curious about that. Like, if they planned it from the beginning, if they were like, oh, 13 did terribly, so let's do another one. Or I don't know. Like, I loved it. I don't mind a sequel. And when I saw like Lightning becoming freaking Senseiya with the armor and stuff, I'm like, whoa, yes, I love it. But I know, it's not a common feeling on the internet, and I'm sad about it because it's for me it's an excellent game. But I'm curious what made them go, we should make another one, or other two. Like,
I kind of feel like I don't think they thought 13 was going to flop like it did. And
and maybe I'm curious. Do you think in Japan it flopped as much as in the West? Because I think, like I heard, Lightning is one of the most beautiful characters in Japan.
Yeah, I've heard. I feel like it did really well there. Just
okay, well maybe that's
not the West.
Yeah, well maybe that's just just us.
Yeah, and there's another thing I keep hearing is that Final Fantasy 14 is not a real Final Fantasy. And I'm like,
no, no, I don't. Honestly, I don't hear that. I luckily people don't tell that. What they say to me is like, yes, but I don't want to pay for the membership. Which I'm like, okay, you do you. You're just losing one of the best Final Fantasy games ever made. Because of the membership, it can be as amazing as it is. Also, you can buy it for, when you find it on a deal, you pay 10 euros, you get all the games, you get expansions. And then if you had like 5 months of membership, that's like 60 euros. That's the price. Add 6 months of membership, 70 euros. That's the price you pay for a full-fledged game nowadays that might last you 20 hours, 40 hours. If you do 6 months of Final Fantasy 14, you can go for thousands of hours and still not be done with all the content that is actually fun to do. and the story, like the plot of the whole, like all the different games is going to last you way more than 40 hours. So if you just want to like be like, I don't want to pay for the membership, fine, pay 60 euros, get the game at 10 euros on Kingwin or whatever, I don't know, Amazon, pay for 6 months. And the one thing where I go, okay, this is the thing that's going to suck is that, yes, you have a limited amount of time you can commit to the game. So if you're someone that can play for 1-2 hours every day, that's fine. If you can only play half an hour or 10 minutes every day, then it's not viable to play 14 because your membership is like, you're not going to use it well. Yeah. That is the only thing that makes me go, okay, in that situation, you should not play. But for everyone else who plays games 1-2 hours per day, just sink those 60 euros and enjoy one of the best Final Fantasies ever made. It's like, it's I really hope that one day they're gonna make a way, they're gonna create a way for offline players and people who don't enjoy anything online with membership to experience the story at least. Just I don't know, a anime that goes through all the different events in as much depth as we've seen in the game, or a offline version. I don't know, because it's really a shame that lots of people are missing out on this.
Who's your favorite character?
Well, holy shit! Oh my god! Well, there's a few. They're all pretty much amazing. There's a few that I love. Emmett Silk, obviously, is great. Alize is amazing. I like.
Stolla's wife.
Yeah. Stolla's great too. I like what's his name? Horchefant, obviously. But also what's the Orianger? Yeah. Dude, there's so many good characters. Yotsuyu is great too. Like, I was like, there's no way. I was expecting that they're gonna eventually humanize her and make me feel bad or whatever, empathize. And I was like, yeah, no. Like when you see her in the beginning of Stormblood, I'm like, yeah, no. fuck this person. Like, no way I'm ever gonna like this character. And then, what the fuck, dude? Ghost is also an amazing character too, by the way. That's another one. And, yeah.
Man.
What about you? What are your favorites?
Okay, so off the top, hardship is best bro. I loved him. Let's see, hardship, Ermac, Raban, Pippin is my favorite Lalafell, and I hate Lalafels. I can feel I can feel the daggers, and my wife plays a Lalafell. I can feel the daggers.
Husky by the Geek plays Lalafell too, so he's gone to the dark side now. Embrace the dark side.
They're so evil.
I don't know. Actually, I find, man, the most evil thing for me was creating a female Mikote or something. That's how you say it, right? The cat girls.
Yeah.
I created a female cat girl, and I find that I have great taste in women. So I was able to create one that looked believable. Like, people really believe that I'm a girl. Also because the name was female name. It was role playing, but I wasn't trying to act like a girl. I just wanted to create this female character. Mm-hmm. And we had this group and this guild or free company, Italian, and people were just flirting with me. I'm like, what the fuck? And we had the group on Facebook. Eventually, we created on Facebook. And everyone saw this Alex Moukala guy. And like, wait, who's Alex Moukala? Oh, it's actually Ellen. And they were like, what? This beautiful female Moukala is a black dude? No! And it was a shock. That was a guy and stuff like that. And that was a joke. And then everybody started to call me Elena, which is like Ellen in Italian. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was the evil thing. But I would have gone Lala probably too. Like, I like them all. I don't really judge at all. I think the class that doesn't. Which class do you play?
I'm here. I'm a human.
You're a human.
Yeah.
Okay.
I almost was gonna be a Lala. I wanted to be a Lala tank so I can demoralize people.
Yes, I saw a guy. Dude, I saw a guy that was a paladin, and his name was Little Hero, and he was a paladin Lalafell. So you had this like miniature knight walking around the Eorzea, and it was amazing. So that's I'm using Fantasia all the fucking time. Now I'm pure female still, but maybe one day I'm gonna do Lalafell. Probably. I don't know.
I want to be a Dark Knight Lalafell.
Yeah, that's the most. That's what a Husky by the Cook is doing, but that's the most edgy thing ever.
And to wrap up the Final Fantasy 14 talks, people, there's a free trial. They give you the base game and Heaven's Word and Post for free. There is no reason.
It's one of the best Final Fantasy games ever made. Like,
there's
hands down.
There's no reason to not play it.
Yeah. Dude, someone is asking a cool question. I'm going to reply to that. I'll ask for Warrior. But I want to say, Heaven's Word is amazing, especially because I find it teaches about racism. I never expected to be taught, or I mean, I'm black. It didn't teach me new stuff for me, but I'm like, wow, someone who's not from a minority and plays Heaven's Word may start to understand the problems of racism, through Heaven's Word. So that made me feel very happy about the game. Like, but people should freaking play it. Yeah. So, yeah, Allspark Warrior asked me, what do you got planned for the future? Just making more content on the internet, getting my name out there more. What I love to see is that, there was a time where I was always struggling to, like, I think I've been creating some cool shit for a long time, actually. Like, for a long, like, at least, like, the past 3 or 4 years. No, the past 5 years, I think I've been creating some cool shit. After making the trailer music stuff, and I started making tutorials, I made a remix of the landing from Final Fantasy VIII, which I'm still very proud of because I waited for so much to make that remix. I wanted to be ready to do it justice because I wanted to create a highly cinematic, believable Hollywood version of the landing from Final Fantasy VIII. Mm-hmm. I did that. Sounded amazing to me. It still sounds amazing. It sounds good to this day. And the thing I found is that I couldn't find a way to promote it in the right way because the attention it got was not equal to the quality that it has. I found that to be true for most of my music. So now, because of the Alex Moukala music channel and stuff like that, the audience that's coming together, like the thing I'm doing is just bringing together music nerds and create this space where we can all vibe together and all feel like, amazing about the music we like and find new, like discover new composers and stuff. So I created this audience, and this audience, what is giving back to me is like, I don't need even so strongly to like promote myself that much because lots of people are now sharing my stuff. They love it. They're like, oh my God, please. Like lots of people are consistently tagging Square Enix on Twitter and telling them to hire me for. I'm like, what? I don't want this to become a nuisance or a meme or whatever. Like subscribe to PewDiePie, but I like to see people who are very supportive. So I want to keep on doing what I'm doing. Just keep on creating this awesome space for people to vibe and just keep on creating music and keep on getting my name out there, because the ultimate goal I have is still to make music for Final Fantasy games so that I can show people that it is possible to embrace your dreams and make it. Like, ultimately, I'm doing this for people. I'm not doing it for me. That's actually the thing that motivates me quite a bit. When you do stuff for others, that's where first you feel responsible. You don't want that to people down. And second, you're like, you can let yourself down. You're like, yeah, today I'm feeling lazy, but hey, I could impact someone with my work today. I can give courage to someone. So I would just want to keep on doing that. And that's it. I don't, when we were talking before about the fact of like being content, that's something I learned too when I was making Turtle music. There's this, it's a race. We are all racing each other to just get better and better placements, be featured in better movies, and eventually get to Hollywood and stuff. And it's exciting. There's a fellow feeling. People are amazing. And, we all celebrate together. But this constant race of like, more placement makes you consistently unsatisfied. I don't want that. I don't really want that. And when I was there, I was just in the community. So I started to have goals that were the goals of the community at large. They were not my personal goals. That's what I forgot about making music for Final Fantasy. And I started going for Hollywood. And people start to say, hey, man, you need to become the next Hans Zimmer, the next this, the next that. And I tried to do that because I felt like, hey, everyone says I should do more film music, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to try that. But then I was like, actually, no, I don't want to do that. Like, through the pain of following a passion that was not my own, I discovered the importance of being content with your goals, even if they're not as cool as what you can. If I want to, I can work myself to the bone to the point that I end up working in a Hollywood movie studio in I don't know how many years. That's possible. I don't want to. And when I say I would rather make videos on YouTube about video game music and make some arrangements and eventually maybe make music for a video game, that's way less cool than saying I'm making music for Hollywood trailers, or I live in California, Los Angeles, and make music there. That's much cooler. But it doesn't make me as happy as what I'm doing now. So what I'm doing now, it's already what makes me happy. Like, so when I think of plans for the future, I'm like, I just want to keep on doing what I'm doing now. I keep on going for this goal. So that's pretty much it, I would think. And one thing I would love to do, like a big goal I have besides Final Fantasy, is to become a multi-instrumentalist. Because I suck at playing any instrument. Like, I'm terrible at any instrument.
What?
I learned how to compose. No, I'm not joking. I learned how to compose. I didn't have time to practice instruments before I learned how to compose. I wanted to compose first and then figure out instruments after. Now I'm starting slowly to figure out instruments, starting from bass. The bass videos that people see on Twitter from me are not me playing and be like, hey, look at how cool I am. I'm so great. I take hours to even just learn 30 seconds. And those riffs that I write are challenges for me. I'm like, okay, this is the next boss. This bass line I have in my mind, I'm going to play like this. It's going to be this fast. And it takes me so much to learn those bass lines. But whenever I do, my hands get so much better. So those videos are just me learning to play bass. It's not me being a crazy bass player. So I would love to do that for bass, guitar, violin, drums, piano, cello. I would love to learn so many instruments, but that's another thing that I would like to do besides Final Fantasy. Because I find music is the best way to communicate with people. Like, surely you understand exactly what I'm talking about,
Yes.
like Michael.
Yes.
So,
Yes, I do.
yeah. And it's like you play guitar, or what instruments do you play?
Guitar, bass, drums, violin, cello.
Okay, there you go. So I want to become like you, essentially.
What?
Yeah, like you're a multi-instrumentalist, dude. Like that's insane.
self-taught and I suck, in my opinion.
I am self-taught as well. I want to be self-taught because that way, it's not that not being self-taught is bad. It's not that starting a school is bad. It's actually good. Being self-taught just gives you a possibility to discover things that you probably would not find in the normal route. So I like that as well. But dude, that's great that you can play all of those things. And I don't necessarily want to become virtuoso at anything. I just want to be able to jam on those instruments if I want to, play along with a song or improvise, play with friends, because there's nothing better than seeing two people that don't know each other sit down on guitar and starting to jam and conversate through instruments. Like they've known each other their whole life. And when I see that, I'm like, whoa. You don't need to speak. You can just make people understand you through music. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's one of the things like about music, and I was talking to my wife about this the other day. I forgot the name of the song, but was it Chop Suey? Was it the Chop Suey song?
Yeah,
Okay.
I love Chop Suey.
Okay.
Oh, the System of a Down.
Yeah, so I learned that song by hearing it once, and it's insane because
it's a long song, dude.
It's super long. So I learned it by hearing it once, and I played it, and I just got into that zone. I was telling her, like, I got into a zone. As musicians, when we're playing, when we get into that session, that jam session, the music takes over. We're not there.
Yeah.
The music, it just comes out, and
it's beautiful.
God, it's just one of the things that's the one thing that keeps pulling me back to music is, when I get to play, drums or guitar or violin, when the music takes over and you just go on that ride. That's why, like, when you look at the music from artists back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when they'd have these long ass solos and just sessions.
Oh yeah, dude.
And people were like, "Yo, when are we gonna get to the song we heard on the radio?" Why are they doing that? Because the music took over. It took over, and I love it. I absolutely love that. And for me, I came from a musical family. Like I said, the reason I play, I learned all the stuff I'm playing is because all my siblings are excellent in that, and I was the one that didn't have musical talent. So really? I learned, because I felt like I had to, like, my sisters could sing. So I'm like, there's the expectation I need to sing. And then my brothers either play drums, bass, violin, guitar. And there was an expectation of like, oh, what do you do?
You're going to have, Did you enjoy learning?
I didn't initially because I was always comparing myself to them. And not only that, but my dad would compare me, and then other family members would compare me. So it got to a point where I hated it. And then when I started finding music I enjoyed, which was heavy metal, screamo, that really helped me. And then not only that, but this is where I have my love of Final Fantasy, because that music spoke to me. The soundtrack in Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy 3, the soundtrack in Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, especially 10, just it spoke to me. And it is what, when I learned piano, I learned piano from hearing the intro to Final Fantasy 7. I mean, not Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 10. And so I heard it and I just started playing it. And
Yeah,
then,
everyone loved that one.
You know, and it's like
Exactly.
it just became an obsession where I was doing music as much as I was breathing. Like it just had to be a thing. And then people were like, oh, and when I got to college, people were like, oh, here's some music. Can you read that? I'm like, no. What are we doing? They're like, how do you not know how to read music? I don't understand it. Let me hear it. I can play it. Give me an idea.
People are freaked out by that when you're like, man, I have so many friends. I compose music. That's my main thing. That's my job.
Yeah.
I don't know theory. And if you play me a note or a chord, I cannot tell you the name of the chord or the note. Blah, blah. You tell me, hey, play this. We're gonna play in D minor. Now I know. Now I know a bit, so I can. But in the beginning, I was like, what do you mean? Like, what D minor, right? So, but then when it came to compose, I was just jamming, flowing, and be like, just figure out melodies without even touching the instrument and stuff like that. And then be like, how can you do it? How can you even do this? Like, or when I was, listening to a song and figuring out what notes are playing, I take a short time to do that because that's all I can do. And they were like, whoa, how can you do it? I'm like, this is stupid. Like, it's simple. Just people usually, like, they tend to choose one side. Either they go the theoretical route where they learn how to perform other people's pieces and they just rely on theory so much and sight reading, or they go the crazy renegade route where they just do it by themselves. I think the best musicians can do both. Like, if you check out Adam Neely on YouTube, that guy knows a lot of theory and stuff, but he also knows ear and stuff. He does everything. He's like Sephiroth, way. Mind, body, spirit, everything. But then mostly people tend to choose one side. And if I have to choose between theoretical performer of other people's music or renegade that does his own thing and doesn't understand the basic rules but can still write full Hollywood orchestrations, I would choose that one. I like that one more. Did your other brothers and stuff end up pursuing like careers in music?
Two of them did. I've had we used to have a family band, but then we couldn't get along with one another, so that didn't last long. My oldest brother Tony became we were living in Memphis, Tennessee, so he became the best bass player in Memphis. And then the best bass player in Tennessee. So he started traveling. He would do stuff like his band was Sammy's Good Eye. They never went anywhere, but he had opportunities to play for other famous bands at the time. And this is like late 90s, early to mid 2000s. But because he was so dedicated to that band he started with, there's so many opportunities he missed.
Oh man. Yeah, that happens.
And it's like, and we're not close now, but there's a conversation we had a couple years ago when I was in music, and he told me, he's like, yeah, I wish I did this, because he had the opportunity to play with Nickelback. He had the opportunity to play with Creed. He had the opportunity to play with what's the name of that girl? Killswitch Engage. Like, he had so many opportunities.
Damn.
But he was loyal to that band that went nowhere.
Yeah, that must have sucked a lot.
There's a lot of regret there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of regret.
You never know. Like, sometimes that happens. I was talking about this with a friend. When you're on the rise, some people join you on the journey, and sometimes it's hard to tell who's on your side because they want to grow with you, and who's on your side because they see a shiny object that they can, capitalize on and put that object in a box, and put you in a bucket. And when you try to get out, on YouTube, I'm lucky. Like, people always say, oh, YouTube, Twitter, negative places. I don't see that. Maybe, I don't know. But my friend had this in the music. This is in the music industry. That happens not there. And it's all the fighting for other people's dreams conversation again. It's like, you have to realize what people are, fighting. They want to see you succeed. and what people just want to like take advantage of you.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't even do that with malicious intent. Many times they think for real that they can guide you. You know, like, hey, stick with me, we're gonna make it. But then they're not able to, and you have to be the one who's like, hey, this doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the struggles of being creative. Now, I don't think that for your brother that, you know, missing these chances means that his career is over. Like, he can, you know, I think you can always create new opportunities, new chances, especially nowadays, dude. YouTube, the internet.
He's settled in IT.
Doesn't matter. Like, he can, dude, if he's the biggest bass player in freaking, you know, Tennessee, like, he can make videos like I do. Like, and for him, it's gonna be a question like sitting down 1 minute, recording one take, and he has a video like mine. I take
He's
3 hours. Do you know Tommy Emmanuel?
Yeah.
Okay, I think Tommy Emmanuel is more than 50. So what I'm saying is like,
but his mentality is I'm 50.
yeah, no, well, okay. I'm not.
So, you get
but
it.
I'm just, yeah, but I'm just saying that he has all the possibilities though to do it if he wanted to.
No, I fully agree.
Yeah.
He has that mentality. I'm 50. I'm old. My opportunity is gone. I'm like, bro, your knowledge being a bass player.
Yeah.
YouTube. Hell, you could do live sessions on YouTube or on Twitch, and he.
I'm trying with my best friend to like, some people, it depends on the person. Some people need to have a bit of hand holding.
Yeah.
So with my best friend, I have to like put him in the situation. So he loves streaming. He loves video games even more than I do, I think. And he's much more fun than I am. But he doesn't have that edge, that push, that self-belief, and, you know, stuff like that. Doesn't want to put himself out there that much. So I have to kick him in the butt. And what I did this year to do that, first, he had to have the catalyst of like hating his day job. So when that happened, and I saw he was very frustrated, I'm like, this is the time to shine. I bought him a capture card and a webcam, and be like, okay, now you don't have any excuses anymore. You have to start streaming. I bought him Dark Souls because I know that's a game that first he's gonna love, and second, that is very popular on Twitch. And he started streaming Dark Souls, changed his life. Now, I still feel that he doesn't get it completely, because he's of the mentality that when you stream, you just have to stream and then people find. That's not how it works. You have to.
Oh no.
No, you have to do so much. You have to have a YouTube channel. You have to publish content, and that doesn't mean that you have to publish your streams on YouTube. If you publish 2-hour streams, no one is going to watch those. Publish highlights of your gameplay, no one is going to watch those either. You have to publish something funny. You have something specific, particular, that puts you on the radar, because content creation works like that. Yeah. When it comes to content creation, so you're not the one to choose what you get popular for.
Yeah,
like, you gotta try different angles, publish different things, and eventually you're gonna publish something that tackles one hole or one niche that is not being taken yet. And that's where the internet glorifies you, and you're like, okay, I can do this. I can take responsibility for this specific type of content that is missing. People love it. Yeah. For him, I told him this, I'm like, dude, no, you have to like record your live streams, keep track of all the funny moments, do interesting compilations. Like, he has 2 cats. And he told me, dude, I played the whole Dark Souls. I cannot tell you how many times I've been killed by my cat because he stepped on the controller, whatever. He walked on me when I was facing a boss. I'm like, dude, there you have it. Just do a Dark Souls cat compilation. That I'm sure the internet has not seen that yet.
No.
And and I'm sure he will blow up like that. But yeah, he has the content, he has the stuff, but I need to drill into him the motivation to do that. And he's like, I don't know how to do it, blah, blah. So now I'm streaming a lot to show him, like, I'm doing it myself, to give him advice as I do it. And as he sees me rise, he knows that we are the same. We're just very similar people. So if I make it, he's going to make it too. So I'm streaming, and I'm doing it especially because I want to show my best friend how to do it. So some people maybe sometimes they need that sort of guidance. So maybe your brother is kind of like that. I don't know, but yeah, there's hope, and that's what I wanted to say. Like there's always hope.
And you touched on a really critical thing when it comes to streaming and content creation as general. Like there's a lot of people I know that think that you just need to throw a video up on YouTube and that's it. And it's like, no, there's not. You need to understand how to market. You have to understand SEO. You need to utilize these platforms. If you've got YouTube videos, take some of the greatest clips or the best clips from it and go over and put it on Twitter, put it on Twitch, not Twitch, Twitter or Instagram,
Reddit
or
and stuff.
Reddit. Yeah. You need to effectively market it out there, because so many people have this idea that I'm just going to wait for that opportunity of that one video to blow up. And maybe it's just how I'm wired. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not going to wait for an opportunity. I'm going to go make it myself. And if an opportunity does come, I'll...
No, dude, that's the best way to think. Like the way I think about this is I just publish as much content as possible.
Yeah.
I do it strategically. So I have a YouTube channel for this music producer reacts videos and video game music covers. I cannot just publish Dark Souls gameplay videos on that. That's gonna kill the channel. Like the one thing you have to understand is like there's a place for everything.
Yeah.
So, but I'm trying to publish stuff all the fucking time. And one thing I'm doing now, which is helping a lot, as I told you before, I found that the content I've been making for the past 5 years, video game covers and stuff, sometimes it didn't get a level of attention that was matching the quality.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I have this platform, Alex Music, I'm remastering or packaging those and re-releasing those through different type of media.
Mm-hmm.
Like my short video where I explain you how I wrote the cover and then I show you the cover and stuff like that. And I'm releasing content every day, dude. Gary Vaynerchuk said you have to release what did you say? I don't remember, 10 pieces of content every day, or probably
Every
even more,
single
30.
day. Yeah.
And what people are like, what, 30 pieces of content? You're fucking crazy. Like, I cannot put out 30 videos. No, you do not have to record 30 videos. You can take one video, repackage it, and then publish it on Twitter, Reddit, Insta. That's 30 pieces of content. And you can do that on different socials. So every day I'm publishing stuff, especially on Twitter. And then whatever blows up, whatever doesn't, okay, maybe I'm not going to do that again,
Yeah.
But when I see something that blows up like crazy, that's what I'm like, okay, this is a niche that is in demand. People love it when I do stuff in the niche. If I enjoy doing it, I'm going to do more stuff. But that also applies for games on Twitch. Like you want to stream some games that, they have demand, but it's not a demand that is being served completely. So if you stream those, people are going to watch you.
Yeah.
Dark Souls is great because, well, everyone's going to always love that game, but it's not a new game. So it's not like the top 10, I think. So if you stream that, you have a big chance of people following you. If you stream freaking Fortnite, everyone's going to watch Ninja and stuff. No one's going to watch you. So it's all about taking care of the niches which are not being taken care of right now. And you find out what they are by just publishing a crap ton of content and doing it where it is appreciated, not just spamming everywhere. So, yeah. Dude, we've been talking for almost 2 hours. I will have to go soon, but this was a blast.
Yeah, I was about to say we can wrap it down into the last question. I wanted to ask.
Well, if people have questions, if you guys have questions in the chat, you can ask. I'm gonna try to reply fast. I know we've been ignoring you in the conversation. Sorry about that. It's I actually feel a bit guilty about that. When I stream, I'm always reading, but when I'm talking to someone, it's a bit hard.
No, they love it. They're used to it. They love it. I was gonna ask you pandemic going away. When you coming out here to Hawaii?
Man, I would love that. Hawaii is very close to Japan, right? Like people in Japan just come there for the holidays all the time. I am looking forward to go to Japan again. I've been there two times. I've been there totally a month and a half in my life. And I want to go back there as soon as the pandemic is over. So if I'm in Japan, maybe I can just take a flight and come to Hawaii, just chill there for a few days and then go back to Japan. Blah, blah. So that would be cool. Yeah.
Well,
But how is life in Hawaii? Like, how are people there? Are they chilled, or are they like, about, for example, what you do? Like, you have you're a businessman, you have your podcast. Do people do that often, or are you seeing as a crazy guy? Like, what is the?
I'm the crazy guy.
You're the crazy
Just
guy?
because a lot of people out here are very, very, very laid back. Not very ambitious. It's
Okay.
it's one of the things about being, from out here, is that a lot of people here, the most that they're going to strive for is either being a comedian or being a disc jockey, or maybe working at retail.
Okay, I get it.
So like that's just about it. But like other than that, as far as striving to do a whole lot more, a lot of people out here aren't trying to do that. So with me, I am kind of considered the crazy one. A lot of people here think that I am I don't cater to Hawaii, which is intentional, because my thing is I want a global audience. I want to capitalize on being from out here, but also being able to interact with people around the world. And so if that means that, which is kind of a thing, it does kind of bother me. I don't have really support from people here as much, because they're like, oh, you're not, I mean, there's a lot of things with that, but it's like, you're not catering to us. But my thing is, you're getting exposure from the world.
I think like well, you live in Hawaii, so that's great. But I also think there's something to be said about being different. Like, I live in the Czech Republic now, and people here, because of historical oppression and lots of shit that happened to them, they're not so positive, or, they don't believe in themselves so much. I do a lot, and I believe in others as well. And it really stands out. When you're this kind of person in an environment, when the environment is not, it stands out. And that creates the situation where if you find someone who is kind of like you and is a renegade in that society, you're going to change their life. They're going to be like, oh my God, I cannot believe I found someone like you here, blah, blah. So that's, maybe that's a bit better than actually being in LA, where everybody is super inspiring, and you just feel this incredible competition to just be the best and have, freaking Ferraris. Then, maybe that's good to be here, just chilling, doing your thing. And then whoever loves you, who doesn't envies you. Because that's mostly envy when people are like that. It's not that they didn't love you, they're just envious that you're rising up, and they're like,
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of crabs in a bucket mentality out here, and I just try to rise above it. Like, one of the things I got to do this and last year was actually go out to the universities and speak to the students, because the universities invited me to teach, talk to the kids about entrepreneurship and talk about, content creation, YouTube, podcasting, all that. And it was an honor being able to do that, being able to see that there are other people that are also from here that actually want to go beyond what the low bar of expectations is set for us here, and how much opposition that they're having. But, when I talked about that, or I announced that I did that, the reaction from a lot of the community out here was like, oh, you're all,
who are you to do that?
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what that was. And
you did a good thing in going, because you're, just being there and talking to all these young people who still have like hearts full of dreams. Maybe it's gonna inspire some of them to like really like change. Like, the youth is the future, dude.
Yeah.
If you can change the youth in a positive way, then in 20 years, Hawaii is not gonna have that mentality anymore. Like, at least your city in Hawaii is not gonna have the mentality anymore, So.
But with that being said, dude, being respectful of your time, we're gonna wrap this up, because I know you gotta go. I know it's late where you are. It's early where I'm at. But I'm gonna say this: if you ever come out here to Hawaii, you got a place to stay. We got a house. We got a room.
Thank you.
We're literally 2 minutes from Waikiki, and all of
Whoa.
our friends, like voice actors and whatnot, when they come here, they stay with us. So,
Thank you very much for that, man. Appreciate it. If you come to Prague, let me know. Czech Republic. I'm here.
definitely. And most important, the other thing too, which is crazy, where I live, 2 blocks down this way. Well, not 2 blocks, 2 houses down from where we live. Hironobu Sakaguchi lives. We're in the same neighborhood. So
No. What?
yes,
For real?
when we go to our grocery store, I run into him all the time.
Bro, what the fuck?
He's dude.
No.
Yes.
For what the fuck?
Yes. So
That is absolutely crazy. Wow.
yeah.
Did you ask him what's the best Final Fantasy?
Yes.
He's going to say 9, I think.
He does.
He's going to say 9. He did. Okay.
And I'm
Dude,
like,
wow.
I'm like, what about? I said, what is your favorite post Final Fantasy 9 game? And he's like, oh, the real Final Fantasy 13? You mean Lost Odyssey?
Shit, I need to play that one. One day, I will play it.
But
Holy shit, man.
If you ever come
That
out
is
here, man,
incredible.
I'll introduce you. He's a great guy. He goes surfing every day. But
Wow.
he's really cool.
Okay, well, that's one more reason to come to a wife today. Yeah, man. Well, it's been a pleasure to be here. Really, like you have great energy. That's the thing I noticed when you told me, like, hey, you want to come on the show? I went to listen to one of your podcasts. I'm like, whoa, these are great vibes. Like, super fun guy. I'm like, yeah, surely, let's chat. And it was indeed a pleasure. It was so fun.
Thank you.
Sorry if I overspoke most of the time.
No.
I did, but I'm the guest, so I'm like, okay, maybe I can do it now. But yeah.
No, it's great. And with that being said, guys, links to all of Alex's outlets, social media, I'll leave that in the description because I'm going to be uploading this to YouTube and all the podcasting platforms. So if you're watching right now on Twitch, I'm going to tell you, you can catch it all here. So it'll be available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Pandora, iHeartRadio, as well as we just got on Amazon Music. Amazon reached out to us to get the show on there, and we're on there as well. And you'll be able to catch it also on replay here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mekel Kasanova, as well as on youtube.com/Mekel Kasanova. And if you want to support the podcast, we got Patreon as well. But with that being said, y'all need to go right now, and it's prime directive. Go sub to his YouTube channel. Go follow him on social media. Man,
Thank you, man.
is iconic. I don't care what he says. He's iconic.
You're too kind.
So
You are the iconic one, man. Really.
not even. I'm just a guy in Hawaii with a microphone.
No, but thank you very much for that, man.
Yeah.
And
so,
yeah, cheers, everybody. It's been a pleasure to talk to you all. And dude, best of luck with the continuation of this podcast. It was an amazing time to be here. Thank you so much.
thank you. With that being said, people, we're signing out. Y'all have a great one. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. I hope it was informative, engaging, and you enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure you go ahead and leave a rating and a review. It greatly helps out the podcast and helps the platforms that we're on go ahead and promote us more so that more people can check it out. And if you're wondering what all platforms we're on, aside from what you've listened to it on, we're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Pandora, Spotify, Amazon Music, and more. And if you want to support the podcast, then we've got Patreon, so patreon.com/Mekel Kasanova, which allows us to continue doing what we're doing. If you're looking for this in video format, we're also available on twitch.tv/Mekel Kasanova, as well as youtube.com/Mekel Kasanova. So with all that being said, I'll catch you on the next episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast and the #1 podcast in the Pacific, the Kasanova Podcast. You have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.